Hello out there and welcome. My name is Sharon Frosch and I am the Chief Operating Officer of the Discover Your PathU platform, where we believe that every life can teach and everyone can grow. To that end, I am also the host of this show, The Connection Sessions, where we bring together practitioners, artists, marketers, entrepreneurs, spiritualists, mentors, and students in an effort to connect to community, learn from each other, and grow. Today, I have a very special treat for you guys. I have somebody who is pretty well spread across the spectrum of compassionate care professional careers. She is a psychologist, she's a relationship counselor, she's an NLP and hypnosis practitioner, and she definitely has probably the best set of cheekbones on Facebook right now. So I'm super excited to introduce you to Monique Prinsloo, who is just an amazing woman with a beautiful heart, partner to Ashley Venzen in the A&M Emotional Skills Development Academy. So Monique, why don't you just let us know how you came to this and what it is that you love about helping other people on the emotional level?
Why do I love helping people? Well, when I was younger, there was a thing like I have to create something or have to become the person that I wanted when I was younger. So then I went and searched for that, and to be honest, I wasn't able to find it until I actually created it myself. I was actually able to create that, and that is why I created why we created this program, is because counseling sometimes is not enough. Talking sometimes is not enough. Your brain needs a little bit more sometimes. You need to actually see it on black and white to actually be able to link your emotions and your brain together, to actually have that, that extra, more than just talking about it, but actually practicing it as well. Because practice does, in fact, it doesn't never make perfect, but it does make a little different. And that's what we want. We want different, because what was happening previously doesn't really serve you. So you want different. Yeah, that's why we basically did that.
So you went, if I understand the progression correctly, from being a relationship counselor to being a psychologist and into life coaching. Is that correct?
Yes, in that order, yes.
And what were the driving motivations behind each transition?
Okay, well, first of all, I started with relationship counseling, and then I had a mentor. She was really hard on me, and she told me I would never be good enough. I would never be a good enough counselor. And I took it really hard. I was like, what, I'm going to show you. I'm going to be a good counselor. I'm going to show you. And that's when I started diving into psychology. I'm going to show you, because that was my attitude at that point of time. Because I'm going to show you. I'm going to prove you wrong. And the thing is, what she was trying to tell me is that I do empathize with people on a deeper level. But the thing is that what I struggled to do was actually express my own emotions. And the thing is, I'm able to empathize with people, but the thing is, I was locking my own emotions down on such deep level that that actually led to a burnout. And I didn't realize that until it was actually too late. So that's why I actually went in that direction, actually to spite her, but on the end of the day, I was actually just fighting myself. And I just gained some knowledge, and I bettered myself.
So you transitioned from relationship counseling to psychology, basically to spite your mentor. And then what was the transition from psychology into life coaching? Because those are, a lot of people would consider those competing careers, but you seem to combine both with eloquence and ease. So I'm just wondering, what was the driving motivation to add that to your repertoire?
First of all, hypnotherapy was a good add to psychology, because it's something that you can actually use. But when it comes to the NLP, it was just something that I kind of, how do I explain this? With psychology, there was like talk about that actually wants to add something to the DMV, that people that rape victims actually are going to be added a label of being diagnosed with a certain label. So when you rape victim, you are going to be diagnosed with a certain label. So, and me being one, I was like, yeah, I'm against this. I'm not voting for this, you know. I'm not voting for this. If you're going to place labels on people like that, they're actually the victims, you know. What is this? You know, what is this? This is definitely not helping anyone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so who is really the victim here? Because if you place that label on that person, you know, they're definitely not going to be better. They're going to keep on remain having that label for the rest of their lives, you know. And so I was like, you know what? I do not want to do this. And especially, I do not want to be placed in a box. I do not want to be placed in a box. So I started like venturing out of psychology because I do not like the fact, once again, you can just talk. And talking is not good enough. Talking is not good enough because you're only allowed to talk. You're allowed to know what's wrong with the person, but you're not allowed to tell them what's wrong with them. You're allowed to analyze them, but you're not allowed to tell them, oh, listen, yeah, by the way, if you maybe do that or this, you're going to feel better. You're not allowed to tell them that at all. You're not allowed to just, they have to figure it out themselves some magical way, some magical, mystical way, like it's a unicorn, you know, but they're never going to do that.
That's very true because they're coming to you to fix them. And then I'm a rape victim. I've been in intensive psychology for 8 years for the actual assaults that happened, and then the PTSD that unfolded out behind it. But it wasn't until I came into life coaching circles that you would talk about it. And you're right. A life coach will respond to what you're saying with either, may I suggest something that's worked for me, or continue asking you questions to get you to continue following a certain frame of thought. Whereas my psychologist, who was well trained in military sexual trauma, did mainly just listen. And I never felt like there was any resolution that came as a result of those appointments other than more prescriptions being assigned or prescribed. So I love that you bring up that life coaches really are more than just analyzing what's going on with you. Let's get in there and see what we can do to actually address what you're experiencing.
That's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's really, it's like, I would say they are a step up from psychology. Really, they are. Because they give that extra, you know, even though they have all that information at their fingertips, literally at their fingertips, but they do nothing with it because they're not allowed to. Because your hands literally get chopped off by the state. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to say that. You need to sit like that. You need to say that. You have to have an automatic response. And literally everything gets recorded, and you have to fill in your worksheets, you know, what did you say to that patient? What did you give to that patient? And if you don't do that, once again, you get fired, or, you know.
It seems like that would be quite stifling for somebody who really wants to help their patients.
Exactly. That's no way of working, especially when you know what's wrong with them, and especially when you can help, but you can't.
Yeah. I can see now, having this discussion with you, how you naturally progressed into partnering with Ashley in actually creating an academy that would help people develop skills to counteract the experience that they're having. It seems like such a natural flow of experience for you. And I love that right after you guys both started this together, you both put out posts that were extremely poignant as to the experiences that you personally had in your life and how it affected you and how long you suffered through the resulting symptoms of those experiences in silence. And that kind of courage to the people that are watching you and are paying attention to you creates that sacred space of honesty for a person to be able to say, you know what, that's happened to me too, and this is what it was like. And it's all that coming out from behind the walls and the secrets that we build that truly creates that change.
The thing is, I'm actually a hypocrite, or actually, at least I felt like a hypocrite, because I dealt with a lot of trauma patients, especially women. And the thing is, I didn't deal with my trauma, but yet I was helping people work through their trauma.
Mm.
And I felt like a hypocrite, to be honest. I didn't. And the thing is, counseling and psychology gives you that mask that you can put in front of you, because you're not allowed to show your emotions to your client. You're not allowed to show a smile. You're not allowed to give a nod or even a hand or a shoulder. You're not allowed to do that, because that's going to set them off. So
Yeah.
that was a beautiful mask I was able to wear in front of my clients to present them and be able to actually hide behind, and not show my emotions. And I've been hiding behind that for quite some time. And that's why I said I'm a hypocrite for doing that, because eventually when I actually discovered, like, oh, expressing your emotions are awesome. It's awesome. The freedom that comes with it. Oh,
Yes.
it's beautiful.
It is. I remember working at the VA, where I was also a patient for a long period of time, and I had been promoted to the chief of customer service for the largest VA in the nation, which at the time was also the largest healthcare system, period, in the United States. And word got out to other female veterans that a female veteran had been put in a position of power at this healthcare system. And like you, I all of a sudden had these women who were coming up to my office and sitting across my desk from me and telling me their stories of trauma and sexual violation in the military. And I'm sitting on this side of the desk looking at them and thinking to myself, I can't help me. How on earth do you think I'm going to help you? And that process unfolded into a complete nervous breakdown on the job, because I didn't know what to do with what was being presented to me, because I couldn't deal with my own stuff. And it was actually the best thing that ever happened to me, because I ended up going into a 90-day inpatient treatment program and actually addressing the assault in the military, because military rape has different components to it than being raped as a civilian. You have nowhere to go, and there's nowhere to get away, and you're owned by your perpetrator. So being that hypocrite and having that space where I'm trying to make you think that I can help you when really I can't even help myself was actually my saving grace. And I love how you're bringing that forward, how you're bringing that space of, this is who I am, this is what's going on inside, and then reaching that hand out of, how can I help you? So what are some of the exciting things that you're doing right now in your academy as it relates to helping people get comfortable with expressing those emotions?
Wow. Okay. Well, we are basically all over the place, to be really honest with you. We are all over the place. Just like your emotions are, because your emotions are all over the place. So
Indeed.
we are all over the place, But the main thing that we really just want to do and want to help people with is prevention.
Yes.
That is the main thing, because once you have in fact gotten or have felt depression, or once you actually develop depression, or maybe sometimes it is actually a hormone imbalance, or maybe like a brain imbalance or something like that, but stick to the facts, like you have depression, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we want to prevent that, and that is the best medicine.
Yes.
General is prevention, and that is what we are focused on, is prevention, because we don't want anyone else to actually go through this process, or ever having to actually witness this process, or having to go sit in the psychologist's office and they are looking at you and judging you, because that's in reality what is in fact happening. They are judging you. So yeah, prevention.
That is an absolute amazing tack to take for a lot of the experiences that we have. We do have your partner in crime and healing here, Ashley Venzen, watching, who's saying, "Go Monique Prinsloo." So you do have some support here. What are some of the tips and tricks that you give to members of your academy as it relates to emotional, I like to call it emotional sobriety, because there is in AA, right before Bill Wilson died, he wrote a letter to a friend of his in which he said that the new frontier of Alcoholics Anonymous would become emotional sobriety, because I can not drink, no problem whatsoever. I just don't put it in my body and I don't get drunk. It's not the putting it in my body, it's the emotional state underneath it that gets me so uncomfortable that I need to escape it, that gets me to drink. So what are the tools that you give your students or your participants in this academy to help them not reach that place where they're reaching for a bottle or for just sadness and a blanket and a gallon of ice cream in bed watching sad movies? How do you help them reach that spot of thriving?
Okay, well, basically, currently we have 73 topics,
Wow.
building you from the ground up. We are basically stripping you from all that other beliefs that has been ingrained on you as children, you know, all the other beliefs people place on you. Because growing up, like, one of my main topics that are my favorite topics is imagination. A thing like growing up, you know, people are like, yeah, you know, only children use their imagination, you know, and things like that. And we try to provoke that in you. Use your imagination. Be creative. And then we give you be a kid again, you know, and then we give you like things like, what are you actually going to gain when you are more imaginative, you know? 70%, 73% of your no, I can't even think it now because I've got like panic brain currently.
It's okay. You got this.
Okay, so anyways, so 73% of your, you can actually prevent dementia with 73% because if you use your imagination more. And not if you already have it, because obviously then you can't do that, but it can actually help preventing it if you use your imagination on a regular basis. And it can also help with money problems, and it can help with what are the other things?
Money problems.
Yeah, money problems in sense of, let's say you, instead of ordering in dinner, you can actually be creative and make a game of it. It's like, okay, I've got maybe milk and butter and this and that in my cupboard, so I'm going to be creative and see what I can make instead of ordering in food. So,
That's a
like,
great
using
point.
your imagination and making use of everything you have actually at your disposal. So we build you up from the ground up and just stripping you from all the other things that people, society likes to place on you.
Indeed.
Tells you that's wrong, right, or no. But there's only one right, and that is what you believe is right. That's the only right there is what's right to you and what fits you. And that's what the main thing that we did as well, that I really want to point out, is that we have different learning ways, because there's so many people with different learning ways. So like one person likes to perhaps read, the other person maybe likes to write, the other person maybe likes to watch videos, and we have made this like different learning ways for each person to be able to get the same knowledge or the same education or the same information, but just in different ways.
That's fantastic. I like you focusing on imagination too, because it's funny to me nowadays how you have all of these memes out about adulting, and, you know, I'd like to return my subscription to adulting, or, you know, the things that we say about I'm not happy being an adult, which indicates that you were happier as a child. But then when somebody gives you a suggestion of returning to that childlike state, you're like, that's immature. Well, you seem to be really happy with the experience that you had as a child. So what would be wrong with replicating your behavior as a child if you liked the results that you got? And I love that you're out there like, dude, go back to being a kid, that place where you use your imagination and you explore what could be possible, not, well, this is what is, and I just need to adjust and, you know, learn to, you know, I love that about you guys. And I love the excitement and the passion that you have for this. It's really amazing.
Heart and soul in this.
And you're both such, both of you are very intuitive women, and you're not only are you intuitive, but you're intuitive in a fun way. So there can be, I don't know if anybody else has ever experienced this, when you're around somebody who's deeply intuitive and they're serious about it. So you'll be you'll be talking to them, and all of a sudden they just hit you upside the head with some intuitive bit that they just got, and it's like, whoa. And I love how you guys turn it into a game, where that process of intuition and that process of identifying that, hey, this is a little sideways, doesn't become that boomerang strike upside the head. It's more like, let's play with this. So how have you developed the ability to do that in a way that almost, I've seen both of you in action, like disarms the person that you're working with?
Oh goodness. I don't know. It just happens. I don't know. It just
Yeah, that's
happens.
pretty much what I tell people when they ask me how I do what I do too.
Like we are each other's crutches, you know. Like we fill each other perfectly. She's my yin to my yang, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we fill each other perfectly. Like what is maybe I have a weakness, and then that is maybe her strength, and vice versa. And that everyone should have that person in their life, you know. Everyone should have that partnership and that connection.
I agree. And it's interesting and wonderful that you found each other across the Atlantic.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But I think it was a lot to do with timing.
Yeah.
Was it perfect timing?
You were both ready.
We were both ready. She was looking for something new, and I was looking for something new, and it was beautiful.
It is, because trying to get us to commit to a process of inner child and emotional work when we're not ready is painful to watch and to experience. I don't know if you've ever had one of those clients where you're really trying to go deeper with them because you know from what they're saying kind of a good idea of what the issue is, and they are just dancing around you like nobody's business, and you can't tack them down and get them to do that with you.
Oh yeah. No, I've been stuck like easy 3 months with one client alone. 3 months easy. We've been stuck. And we just circling back to the same thing, circling back to the same thing. So, and the thing is just to break that circle, you know, she got all the information. Like last time we spoke about this, you had all the information. You were ready to do this. What happened? She had to do it.
Mm.
Yeah, so that is where the thing came, and she actually had to do it.
And then stepping off into the action that can seem so overwhelming sometimes, can't it?
That's where the talking doesn't work.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to do it. You have to take action.
I see how you brought it around full circle there. Good job, lady. You're a professional at this being interviewed thing.
I know.
Luckily, well, not luckily, because I'm really enjoying our conversation. Unfortunately, our half hour is up. It has come and gone as quickly as it does every single time I do one of these. I want to thank our viewers, especially Ashley, who's just battering you over here with "Go team, woohoo, go Monique," got a bunch of fire emojis. She's just all up in this conversation. So thank you for joining us today, Ashley, and for supporting your boo here. Thank you, Monique, for coming and joining me and for sharing with our viewers a really unique perspective, because there are a lot of life coaches who feel almost secondary to the psychology profession, and to hear from somebody who's been on both sides of the fence that what a life coach does is extremely necessary and is a different way of approaching a problem, but no less or more inferior of a process, I know is really a blessing to those of us who are out here just trying to change people's lives. So thank you for being with us. Thank you for being honest. And most of all, girl, just thank you for being you, because you are just a joy to know. An absolute joy.
Well, it's my pleasure, and it has been a blast, and I wish we had more time.
I do too. So to everybody who was watching, thank you so much for being here. And to those of you who come behind after we're no longer live, just drop us a hashtag replay and let us know that you are here. If you have any questions for Monique, if you'd like to learn more about the academy that she and Ashley started, all of that information is available as links in this live. Please hit them up, because these are two women who can really help you from an outside perspective learn how to work your way into the core of your issues. So thank you to everyone who watched. Again, thank you, Monique, for being here today. And we will see you guys next week on Monday the 22nd, starting again 1 p.m. Eastern. And as always, guys, thanks for being here.